What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. I am Max, and today, very interesting choice of apparel. I know. Actually, I started a second ago, and I literally couldn't see. I clicked the wrong stream. I clicked on the stream that I was going to do with a longevity podcast with Evan from the Fake Podcast or the Fake Untitled podcast, and I started it, and it was like, "Warning: this is not the right show." And I'm like, whatever, I know, don't tell me what to do. And then I click through it, and it's like starting the show that, I'm scheduled for 2 or 3 weeks from now. And I'm just thinking, oh, bad idea. So then I took the goggles off for a second, and I started figuring stuff out. And then I had to already pre-record, like it turned into pre-recording and a whole big mess. So anyways, I had to recreate that stream, figure logistics out again, and then come back. And now these things are like fogging up too. Fantastic idea to get kaleidoscope goggles, right? I don't know what these are for, like they're for raves or something, I guess, but I thought they'd be interesting to like try out and just see if you could actually do some sort of stream with them. But they are pretty kaleidoscopy, so things are kind of going everywhere. I don't think I'm going to be able to hang on. I think I've tried my best for a couple minutes here, but I think I'm going to have to, if I can just see how to hit, I'll be right back. I'm putting my glasses back on. Okay, we are back. We're back. Those are interesting. Let me show you here. Kaleidoscope glasses. I saw these on Amazon, and I thought, why not? Why not try them out? And didn't know what they were quite going to be like until I tried them, and then especially trying to use a computer using them. Crazy. Anyways, what's up, Chad, Donner Swans? What's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you in the house. Today of all days, we are going to talk about some FUD, or I guess the unlogical existence of such. So I've been spending part of the day wanting to go through a few of the topics that I thought were interesting enough to actually share. And I'll start sharing my screen so you don't just have to look at me and Chad's beautiful Pepe body on the moon over there. Let's see. Definitely feels like a lazy Sunday. I haven't seen much on Twitter or YouTube at all, so I appreciate if you're here. Otherwise, if you're on the replay gang, then I appreciate you coming back to give it a view. But today, I wanted to talk about PulseChain a little bit too, of course, because that's always part of the FUD. And maybe some PulseChain interesting stuff coming out about Testnet. I don't know. I try not to believe anything. I try to stick by that, but I don't know. A lot of chatter on Twitter lately. A lot of chatter on Twitter, especially after this V3 testnet came out. So again, today is about bring your FUD here to die. If anyone has any concerns, valid or otherwise, imaginary horribles they want to bring up, or they're just not sure about, whatever it is, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, and I will address it about RHMax, PulseChain, whatever, DeFi, meteor hitting. I'll literally give it some attention just to see if it's valid or not. I don't think most of them are valid. That's why I'm having a stream, and I just want to kind of think through them with you. But yeah, this is we're going to address them in a polite and coherent way. Hashtag in the imaginary horribles. There we go. Let's get that trending on all the socials. In the imaginary horribles. So first one up, we're going to talk about RH is timing the market. Everyone's like, oh, Richard's timing the market. And they're so mad about it. They're either really mad about it, or they're just silently happy or silently neutral. I don't know what it is. But I really like to go back to what Warren Buffett talks about. I think it was him, you could quote talking about the what you should think about. So you should think about things that are both knowable and important. And this is really really helped me fight through a lot of the different controversy or whatever it is, politics or just things that come up. So is it noble and is it important? Because if it's noble and it's not important, then the advice is you shouldn't think about it. If it's not noble but it's important, well, you can't, if you can't know about it, if you can't really, get any data or figure it out, then why are you thinking about it? Because you're not acting off of any kind of foundation. So is it noble? Is it important? So for example, RH time in the market. It's not noble. We don't know. Only he knows, right? Maybe a handful of his generals or devs or whatever too actually know what he's doing, or if he's doing anything at all. So it's not noble. And I would argue that's not important, because it's, how would you benefit from knowing it? If you knew he was timing the market, what would that enable you to do? I guess one thing you could say is it would enable you to make trades of some sort, make financial decisions. But then you got to say, okay, how do you know when the bottom of the crypto market is? Very hard to know, right? Otherwise, the 99% would be the 1%. Everyone would be rich if that was like an easy thing to know. So even if you thought it was important, it's not noble. And even if you thought it was important, it depends on something else that isn't noble. So therefore, I think it ticks both boxes or doesn't tick either box of being noble or important. And that's why I think that part is just, think of FUD, fear, uncertainty, denial, I guess, something like that. So FUD doesn't mean it's not necessarily true. It doesn't mean it's lies or anything like that, although it's kind of can be grouped into that in certain situations. But it means it's meant to create uncertainty, right? It's meant to create doubt. Yeah, there we go. And fear. So RH time in the market, if that's the FUD that you heard or confused about, then I would say it's not noble and it's not important. So I wouldn't pay attention to it. The next one, and again, if you have something you want me to talk about, throw them in the chat. Whatever it is. Yeah. Thanks for that. I couldn't think of the top of my head. Denial sounded good at the moment, but yes, doubt. There you go. Thanks for that. Tento, 10 keto, 777. So next one, Richard isn't going to launch PulseChain. This is the one that just drives me bananas. Like as soon as I hear it, I just think, what are you talking about? He's not going to launch PulseChain. It's literally, it must be the people who just the fly by night crypto people who just come to PulseChain because they hear mad gains, or they see Richard Hart and they think, oh, this guy's clearly just here to get me rich, and I'm only going to be here for a few months. I'm going to sell it all, and I'm going to buy a Lambo, and then become broke again and repeat the cycle. Because he's not going to launch it, and I'm like, why? So first of all, why isn't he going to launch it? I'll get into the other stuff in a second, but maybe he missed the timing the bottom. He missed timing the bottom, or he missed whatever time he missed the. We didn't beat ETH 2.0 to market. Bad devs, SEC, like all this stuff. That's why he's not going to launch it. If you know his mission, which is glory, if you watch more than 3 of my streams before, I have an entire blog post about it. Feel free to, I'll drop in the chat if you're interested. Or just Google search for RHMax glory blog and you'll find it. Not launching PulseChain goes completely against that mission for glory, because at least my interpretation, and I talked about this a stream or two ago, I think he's doing it in phases. I think phase 1, he's creating the community, creating a great product, Hex, really getting people, you go do the work, put your, people have skin in the game. They want the product to succeed. If you stake for 15 years, you're going to say nice things about the product for all this time. Great incentive system, great reward, punishment type of thing. It's fantastic. And it's healthy, right? It's healthy too. Because a lot of people made a lot of money on this product so far. So track record, all that stuff, establishing that phase 1. And then I'm just briefly going through the phases real quick so you can understand. Phase 2, vertical integration, more of an elevation of not only track record with one product, we have another product coming, the lack of promises and lack of expectations far exceeded. PulseChain being successful, the launch, giving us a product that works, yield farming, riches for everyone, trickle down glory, all that good stuff. Phase 2. So phase 1 and 2 are crypto related. But I believe crypto is just a means to an end for this man, because what he wants is worldwide, undisputable glory. He wants to be one of the greatest men ever lived. And you don't do that just by making people rich in crypto. It's a great start, but he believes in longevity research, medical research, saving people's lives, funding programs that can help us live longer. Human consciousness is the most precious thing on earth. If you believe that, and he certainly seems to believe that from the 6 years I've been watching him talk about stuff like this, then phase 3 would be using crypto as a means to an end, the end being, creating the Heart Foundation, whatever it may be, having that fund for medical research, saving people's lives. So get you rich in crypto and then help you live, another 50, 100 years, all that good stuff. So not launching PulseChain directly, if you believe what I believe in that narrative, I think that's if I were to break it down, I think that's a good way to look at it. Then not launching PulseChain, if nothing else, not launching PulseChain is like totally against, it's bad for reputation, it's bad for investors, it goes against everything he wants to do, right? He wants to make people rich. He wants to build healthy ideals and followers who are into the stuff that he wants to do, that likes the things he likes, and can therefore advance the mission of a lot of the things that he wants to do and benefit the world and be a force for good in the world. That whole deal. So not launching PulseChain goes completely against that mission. He's a logical person. Therefore, he would not allow that to happen, and is probably working 24/7, do anything he can, which is not much other than whatever it is, whatever he is doing, managing. He's like the PM in the project. He's managing the project, but he's not developing the code, so he can't push these things forward because he's not the one fixing bugs. He's not the one, maybe he's funding things, maybe he's managing aspects of the launch, maybe he's doing logistics, but he is certainly not writing code. So he's doing everything he can to make sure it can be launched flawlessly, which takes time. And like I said, there has been some interesting stuff coming up. I'll just switch over to KDP, Power City. I think she's part of Power City. She has a few interesting tweets in the last few days. So, and I talked about it at the local meetups as well. I heard people talk about it. Had some conversations around. I think she is communication with some of the devs, PulseChain. That's what speculation says. And certainly the screenshot shows that V3 is going well. And then there's speculation again that PulseChain is close. Richard said it was close. He's terrible at estimates, as he says himself, but there's other people who are in communication apparently or seemingly with devs, and they have information they're sharing on Twitter. This one says, I asked the dev personally if I was allowed to tweet the response given the multiple chat room. And Shanghai will not delay PulseChain. So I think Shanghai is where later this year, maybe in the fall, the Ethereum folks are planning to, well, I think it's debatable and we don't know what's going to happen exactly yet, but there's a big thing around a bunch of the staked ETH becoming unstaked. So what I interpret this as, Shanghai will not delay PulseChain. We won't have unstaking until the upgrade. Apparently the staked ETH that we're getting when it's forked over, depending on the multiples it's coming to PulseChain, won't be unstaked. And I guess we'll be taking the Shanghai upgrade. I guess that's what that means. Hard to say for sure. Again, this is just kind of like secondhand information, it seems like. But it's, what was this? PulseX site had some minor changes. The explanation of the 20 to 30 day V3 prediction. She talks about the 4 consensus clients, which I tweeted about as well. I did a whole video on the dev process. If you're interested in that, type RHMax, Richard Hart AMA number 3, and we'll talk about in that stream. I talk about it as well as a separate clip that talks about PulseChain dev updates with all the consensus clients and execution clients information. Photo of the new Beacon Explorer. I also talk about that, which is forked from blockchain and then .in instead of blockchain, the word, the domain is .in. If that makes sense. Let's see if I can just Blockchain. Is that it? Oh, that must be some, let's see. Beacon Chain Explorer. Beacon Chain, that's it. So this is what appears to be the Beacon Chain block explorer for that is shown in the screenshot here. Very similar, right? I mean, they're basically identical as far as the features go, except the PulseChain interface is over top of it. So if you can see that, it's got all the same stuff, epoch slots. It's got, you can search here. It's got, you know, all these buttons. It's got all the stats. Most recent blocks, yeah, as you can see, pretty much identical. So it certainly seems like that is what that's being forked from. That's what I talked about in the previous video as well. Final stage is tweaking Explorer to display new inflation amounts. Okay, maybe that's information she's got from devs or otherwise. And this photo shows ETH amount, suggesting this is the stage they're in. So PulseX lead has been taken down. New sack balances. So PulseX lead was where you could track the sacrifice totals. And there's also a Pulse lead, I believe, as well, that did the same thing. So maybe, well, I think that's a community project. So it sounds like that being taken down, well, it could suggest it's either just been taken down, or it could also be that they're preparing to update because they have some information or found out some things that they want to update the totals on. So a few things just to talk about there, just to show that PulseChain is going to launch. And I don't make a lot of predictions. I don't talk about my bags. You know, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I'm very conservative when I talk about a lot of this stuff, and I don't give financial advice, and I don't want to be wrong. So when I say something, I don't, I try to do my best to give you good information. So I know it sounds obvious, but PulseChain is going to launch. That's one thing that I'm fairly sure about. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Wish we could hang out more last night. But next meetup or next stream, actually, we'll be having a community stream, hopefully in a couple weeks. And you get to see some local Hexagons from that. What's up, Spike? Good to see you as well. Thanks for joining. Again, everyone who just came, just if you have any FUD or you're uncertain about stuff or whatever it is, don't be afraid. Put it in the chat if it's related to Richard, Hex, PulseChain. I got about 5 things I'm going to go over. I'm on number 3 now, so won't be a super long stream. So we'll go into the next topic. Yeah, man, community streams could be great. Next topic will be PulseChain lost its 10,000x meme after the ETH 2.0 surprise, and it actually launched. How? That's my response to that. How did it lose the 10,000x meme after that? I would literally like to hear the points, the counterpoints to it, so I could go through each one, see if it makes sense. I just haven't heard any, and like I guess I'm being generous to think some of these topics actually have something backing them. I'm being generous, I guess, with that. Other than it just being, anxiety, sacrifice too much, it's been too long, I need the money back, refund. So I'm trying to be generous and trying to really, I'm not really steel manning the other side, but I'm trying to give it some kind of, like get me to see how I can evaluate it, try to reason around it. So I think if you underestimate the crypto market and the stuff people buy and why they buy it, then you may come to a conclusion that PulseChain lost steam after ETH 2.0 launched, and we're supposed to beat the market. It wasn't like the entire reason for PulseChain was to beat ETH 2.0 to market. That was just another bragging right among the other bragging rights that we have and will have. But people buy it because they think the price will go up. Think about any asset you've ever bought in your entire life, other than using it for something. You hoped, or at least part of the reason you bought it is because you thought the price would go up. So when people see something was designed for the price to go up, why wouldn't they buy it? Like every other L1 chain that was successful, PulseChain was actually built from the ground up with the purpose of being cheaper, faster, lowest denominator, all that stuff. ticked all those boxes, plus all those things better than ETH, plus the fundamentals. It was designed that way. The stuff that wasn't designed that way, that doesn't have communities that understand, I guess I would be a little bit different here because I'm RHMax for his ideals. And of course, I love his products. Of course, I think they solve a problem for me in my life, and they promote healthy ideals and that whole list of things. But they don't. The other communities aren't in here talking about what everyone, 99% of people, sole focus is when they buy crypto, which is price go up. So the other ones, they still went up. There's a whole list. If I had the list in front of me, I would show it to you. If anyone has that, by the way, drop me a link if you have the screenshot or website or tweet about all the other X's that all the other L1s did that were forks of Ethereum or similar. They all went up 500 to 1,000x without being designed to, with all the fundamentals we have. So use your imagination. Like, why? What was it? I guess the most generous way of saying it is, was it a gut punch that ETH 2.0 actually launched when they've been working on this stuff forever? And then they're like, oh, actually, was it kind of like, oh, well, we don't have that now? Sure, at the moment. But even that, I think it was short-sighted because we weren't relying on that for anything. It was just it was an ad. It was an advertisement. That could have been an advertisement. One of the 10 different ones we could use for PulseChain, but we have plenty of stuff. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see, just looking at the chat real quick. Okay, I see there's one question I'll get to in a minute. Interesting. Let me get through a couple other ones. I'll go to that one. So number 4, RH's outrage marketing is scaring away investors and hurting the brand. All the social media metrics are up and to the right. Hex holders and the Hex stakers are up and to the right. The only thing that's not up and to the right is the price right now, which everything else is down too. So whether you agree it's your style, whether you like it or it disgusts you or you think it's funny, whatever it is, did he not just like double his followers in the last year or so? It's working, clearly working. And I think investors care about making money. Isn't that like the definition of an investor is someone who wants to profit on an investment? Like someone whose goal is to make profit. That's how I would define investor, generally speaking. So the ones that have bought, that will buy Hex PulseChain, they won't buy it because they have a founder who's never did anything outrageous. They're going to buy it because they're clearly superior in all the verticals that people actually care about, namely products without a price ceiling, you could say. Is there a price ceiling on Hex and PulseChain and stuff? I don't think it was designed with a price ceiling. I'll say that. So, if Richard's behavior, if you don't like it, just ignore him. Hex works just fine without it. All the products in the ecosystem work fine without you, looking at his Twitter. But I do believe if you want to understand and better his mission, you can go into that research. I did it. You can see what I think about it. But the reason why he dresses like a clown, it's like his thing he says all the time too. If you can't look past that to the next level and think, hey, is all the other metrics up? Is it working? Is he growing his brain? Is it part of the mission? Are all these things developing him into this mission of glory? I think you're just either uninformed, you're not doing enough research, you're underestimating him, you're not looking past the real mission. And that's okay if you don't want to dig any deeper and you want to believe what you want to believe, but it's clearly working for his particular mission. His mission isn't to be a nice, humble guy that makes everyone rich. He said it before, if he could do that, he would. But people like Outrage, he's playing to the strengths of what he can do, and he'll do anything to for the glory. And hey, trickle down glory, I'll take it. And number 5, and then I'll come to the chat. I've got a few comments too. Hex is old, and there are other coins that will go up more X's. Generally speaking, That sounds like either gambling or shiny object syndrome to me. It just does. Now, of course, like, are there other amazing products, even within the ecosystem, that have 10,000x potential or 1,000x or whatever you want? You can go with the meme. You can go with the super low price that goes up. Of course, I talk about them time to time. For example, I love Hedron, and I love its sub ecosystem. What's NFTs? I mean, you got Icosa's amazing staking yield. I talk about these things, and there's other projects too that we'll talk about quite as much. But it's just I think it's just missing the point, though. It's not that you shouldn't own any other coins or that the other coins. It's just that you shouldn't be using. Again, I don't tell anyone what to do. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to use Hex as a crutch or of this. I don't want to buy it because it can only go at 50x or something. There's so many other reasons to buy it. For example, getting PHEX, getting your copy. What if the OA ensures parity? What if depending on your time horizon, what if it goes up faster before PulseChain launches or during PulseChain launch or around that time, and everything else is going up 10x, and you missed out on your 50x because you thought everything else was going to go up later. And again, that's kind of looking short-sighted too, but you can still think about it time horizon wise as well. I just think that it's not even like a Hex Maxi thing. It's clearly I'm not a Hex Maxi, but when I just hear that there's so many other coins that are better, it just feels like gambling. It feels like Hex that have many more X's in it is like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just seems like textbook shiny object syndrome and financial disaster of a distraction for when you find this ecosystem, you can't take it for granted. If you really want to succeed, you found the best ecosystem. If you're in the best ecosystem. And it's hard to take that for granted. So Hex is proven. RH is building a vertically integrated, aligned ecosystem where Hex is the blue chip of blue chips. It starts and ends with Hex, for better, for worse. I like those odds. Bitcoin is old, went up 60,000x or whatever. Ethereum keeps adding these baby fundamentals with whatever, staking or burning and things of that nature. But Hex is good. If I were a betting man, I bet on a good product from genius billionaire founder. So those are the 5 I want to talk about, and I will come to the chat in just a second. Again, I'm going to be on here for probably 20 more minutes or so. So share the link if you like on Twitter, on Telegram, wherever, and I'll answer the questions as they come. And one sec. Notes makes my life easier later on. So let's go to the chat. I'll come to the other comments in a sec, but I do want to get to anyone who posted about while we're on the topic of the FUD and stuff. Why did he use the BitConnect X logo for PulseX? I don't know, man. Did he? Let me just type in BitConnect X. I mean, is that what you're talking about? And then PulseX. I'm not sure. They look pretty different. I don't think I wouldn't say he used the logo. I'll say that. They're an X. There's a lot of different ways you can do an X. So I think yours looks better, of course, too. So I don't know. That one, can't say that he did on that one. Yeah, I don't know what it's about on my comment on that. Let's see what's quite people like it in quantity. Yeah, so I guess that was on the Outrage marketing one. Okay, about the quality of people are getting, not the quantity. It's a trade-off. So that's a point. It's clearly a point worth discussion. I thought about that before too, where we're attracting a lot of people that, yeah, like I said before, probably a lot of the people who believe this FUD or get into it or even proliferate it are people who came for the outrage marketing, and maybe they're not the highest character people too. For better or for worse, I think it's a trade-off. I think I'm not, I don't want to assume what he knows and all and that, but I think that he consciously made the decision that more people is better for the mission. More people is better to grow the product. And he made that trade-off. So is there, if he would, if he did if he didn't do outrage marketing and, just did like this grassroots movement, and I just think it would just not be as effective for growing the brand and adding the numbers that he wants to add because of what he wants to do. So I do agree that outrage marketing can bring in people of less character and, maybe create more toxicity in the community and things of that sort. But I think it also brings in a lot of people that may have good character, and a lot of developers who see that there is a new chain coming. They want to develop on it because they know about it now. If you don't know about it, you can't do anything with it. So that's a fair point. I just think that it's a trade-off. And nothing for the price. Well, I think the jury's still out on that. I think once PulseChain launches, would it be better for many more people to know about it? So they speculate on it, they make the wrong decisions. The 99% of people that trade give their money to the 1% of people who have better strategies than that. I think the jury's still out, and maybe it's good for price and more people, even people. It's like you own a grocery store. Do you want only really nice people to buy your stuff? It's probably not what you filter them on. I've stopped looking for other shiny objects. Amen, free speech. Amen. Amen. Crypto freedom. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. I've been hustling lately. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how long. I think maybe it's winter time, and there's just not, it's kind of cold and gets dark early. And I've just made more time for streaming lately. I don't know how long it's going to last. No promises. But like, I'm going to slow down. I have slowed down. I think I've slowed down I think I've been doing more solo streams because they're so much easier because I can control the time. I can be late to them if I need to. I don't need to coordinate. I don't need to do a lot of the thumbnails and stuff, and I can talk about whatever. They usually take less time. They're usually shorter. So I credit that to my more streaming. I just focused on doing a lot of more solo streams than I used to. But appreciate you and your support. Always like to see good comments, and I even learn from negative comments. Every comment I see, not that I look at all of them, but when I see them, I try to get something positive out of it. Even if it's Mike sucks, or you smack your lips a lot, or all the funny ones too. Thank you, Steve D. Thank you. Let's see. Xcanon Saturn, welcome. It would be hilarious if they gave the sacrifices money back who wanted their money back. They wouldn't be listening. Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that's, I guess one of the most interesting parts of that being debated about how a refund would even happen is there appears to be a lot of people who sacrificed in groups. So that would just, I'm sure the groups have a list of all the people and how much they did, but that would just have a huge cascading, just the logistics would be crazy. And what if, I think that people sacrifice crazy stuff. They got certain points. Like, do you sacrifice it? I mean, if they sacrifice some illiquid coin and they got points for it on PulseChain, do you refund them? It'll be just logistics nightmare. So, but in this situation that they did give, if there was a website on the PulseChain website, it's like refund button, and then you go there, you type in your address or something. How would you even See, how would you even prove it? You'd have to like sign a message that was even you, right? And then, or they would give it back to that. It would just be crazy logistics. So it doesn't make any sense to do it. And yeah, but if it happened, listen to them crying after PulseChain launches. I know. Like there's all these products that have delayed gratification, like 401k. A lot of the investment products you can't touch until you retire because government, for all the bad ideals they have and for all the stuff they do that's not super great, they do a few things that seem to work out well, which is stop yourself from selling your retirement, or at least incentivize you to not do that. So it seems to be working fine for the US economy for the last however many years. Refined hayseed appellation. The right stuff. Movie showed how you shows candle pressure hexagon right. So yeah. You gotta be built tough to be a hexagon. And to be a rich hexagon. Otherwise, cabbage hands. You can buy hex and have cabbage hands. Wellbot tells us a lot of the interesting people who are not making best financial decisions objectively. Never know what's going on in people's lives, but it doesn't seem like everyone makes great decisions. I sell a Lambo for 1 million hex. Did you sell a Lambo for 1 million hex? Because let me look up how much 1 million hex. It's not a whole lot, so you might have lost on that Lambo, man. I lost money unless you got it for free. Let's see. Did you sell the Lambo? I'll entertain this for a moment. 1 million. Do you mean billion hex, maybe? It's only 23K. Unless that Lambo was totaled, I'm not sure that was a great deal. But maybe you sold 1 million hex at the top at 50 cents. Maybe I don't know much about your story, but if you did that and now you have that money and you're about to buy the bottom, touche. If you know what the bottom is, I don't know what it is, but it's pretty low right now compared to what it used to be. I think Calvin might be Australian. Calvin's hilarious. I love hanging out with my local hexagons. Wouldn't the value be most likely lower? Free speech, you talking about how like the sacrifice money, the dollar value was much higher before, and now that same amount of coins, hex, for example, would be much lower? If that's what you're talking about, then. Oh, okay, for the refund. I get it now. Okay. For the refund, I'll just put it back on here. Yeah, interesting. Well, I think they would just refund. I don't know. Like, it depends on if those coins were turned into stables, which I think some of the sacrifice money was. Yeah, from different coins. Yeah, logistics would be crazy, man. Like the values may be lower if they were turned into something else. Then how do you give back the current value of the coins? You give back the sack value. I guess you give back the sack value, but it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. Oh no. I just did it. I just did it as soon as that was unintentional. I'm going to try to stay hydrated and move my lips slower. No. I know. I made everyone sensitive to it now. I can't. It's just the way I talk. So don't know what to tell anyone who somebody did leave a comment on that. I got a couple of thumbs up too. So I'm thinking, cool. I'll try harder not to do that when I'm in the flow of talking, I guess. I'm not that big an influencer. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, got a better questions here. Let's see. Yeah, get your questions in because I'm gonna do like 10 more minutes. I gotta go. Clifton Lewis, great channel. Do you think overall the bottom is in? Of course, RH says he still wants an 85% drop in BTC before he calls it. I could easily be a long wick and bounce off of that. I have no idea, man. I think if you'd asked me a month ago, it would have I would have had more faith in 85% drop, but now the macros are still there, but 2023 could be interesting. From people I've talked to in the last few weeks, it's hard to say if 2023 will just be a sideways year, as a lot of people thought for the last few months. Will we get the 11K and pray? No. Richard is usually right about a lot of stuff, though. Maybe it takes longer. Maybe we don't get it. I would just go back to, I don't think it's really that important if we get it or not, because is there a lot of financial moves? Again, I just don't think it's that important either. So I don't know. Thank you for asking the question, but I just, to me, it's just not that, the bottom is not that important. I think DCAing at when something is down 85, 95% or 75%, 65, depending on what coin you're looking at, is more important than trying to figure out a bottom. Sold it at the top. Nice, man. I try not to applaud people who sell X, but if you sold at the top, give yourself options at least. Hopefully you bought it back and at these lows and staked at 5555. Selling at the top's better than desperately selling at the bottom. I'll say that. Feels a lot better. So congrats. Murph, did Richard and his team rug pull with us sacrifice? I'm very sad. Well, Murph, I went over this. And how could I frame this? I'll turn it into another one. You could rewind to see why there's no rug pull, why not launching PLS would be a detriment to Richard's mission. But I will frame it as the concern will be PulseChain rug pull. Other than it being a part of his mission to be successful and win in crypto and not launching PulseChain, rug pulling PulseChain, anything in that area would be detrimental to that mission, of course. Richard doesn't need it. He's already rich. He's rumored to be a billionaire. There's 10 or 20 million in Hex liquidity out there. So rug pulling Hex, for what reason? To destroy it's like you want to rug pull Hex to destroy a 10,000x more opportunities with the other products in your community and everything you built. He's talked about this before too. Founders don't do that. We don't have a lot of examples of founders who are public, have a persona, definitely none of them on the same caliber as Richard doing that. It just doesn't make sense. It's like starting a business and then just killing it. That doesn't make any business sense. You want to make profits, so you need to not screw everyone, or at least wait a very long time to do it. So, rug pull with a sacrifice. I don't think a rich man needs to do a sacrifice to rug pull. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Knowing Richard, following him for the last 5 or 6 years, doesn't make any sense he would do that, knowing his mission. There's no logical argument I could put together for any sort of rug pull. It's all magic carpet ride from what we've seen so far and what is likely to happen in the future. That's all we can do. We can only go on the information and draw conclusions that will be likely. Nobody knows what's actually going to happen. We just can see what's happened before and draw conclusions on what is likely to happen in the future. Vanilla the Hexkin, do you have any thoughts on why Bitcoin is pumping, but Hex is not? Well, again, I would put this in the bucket of not really important or noble to think about. If I were to give you anything at all, any idea of what to look for, would be perhaps people are waiting for Testnet, PulseChain news, that whole flavor of stuff happening. because our community knows what's up. Hexagons know about PulseChain. So off the top of my head, I would just look into that as a possible reason that things are being more quiet around Hex, because we're waiting on some other news that's, hey, decorrelation, right? maybe that's a temporary decorrelation with Hex for broader crypto right now. I have no idea, but that's top of my head. Yeah, hypothetical refund. I thought that's what you're talking about. Guy, wow, I had to wait a few months for my 10,000X. I bought some stocks, yeah. Stocks are for people who want a stable and steady return for a longer than 15-year time horizon. You want to get rich and do it quickly, stocks are hard. Can you please airdrop me garlic coin? Need protection from vampire attacks. I thought when I first read it in the chat, I thought you were literally talking about some coin shilling it, but that's a good one. I like that, Ivan. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the community in 2023. I think it'll be fun. Is a can of Red Bull intimidating to you? Well, as long as I have this background, I am hardening myself with the spirit of Red Bull. Red Bull, good man, that Red Bull. Clifton Lewis, how long do you think Testnet V3 will be up before release? I was talking about recently, what if there's a Testnet V4? A quick one. Because if you think about, and before you freak out, let me explain. Testnet, the first testnet, right? We had two testnets. I believe we had, it's been so long since these things have happened, but we had testnet V1, I guess, and testnet V2B. And I believe testnet V2 was private. I can't really remember. So we've had at least two testnets, at least, of the network that we were going to launch on before we launched. So you can make a case that if we do the same thing this time, based on what's happened before, because we have this new network, and right, we're not forking BSC, we're forking ETH 2.0, then testnet V3 is sort of like testnet V1. And it's the new thing to play with. So what if there's a testnet V4 that is like testnet V2 was before? Except I don't think we'd have to wait as long. I think that would be the quick testnet. So it's hard to say. I can make a case both ways. I can make a case that, I mean, if I'm making a case for the community is like, oh, we waited so long, no more testnets. But that's not how Richard works. Richard doesn't care about that. Richard cares about getting it correct. So I could see two scenarios. I could see testnet V3 is up for a few weeks or a few months before launch of mainnet. Or I could see testnet V3 is up for a few weeks or months. And then testnet V4 comes and it's a quick one. What does quick mean? Days, weeks. I can see that happening in the mainnet launch. Pure speculation. It would be like 3.5. I know. Nobody in the community wants to see a V4. So maybe we won't, but maybe we will. So I could make a case for it. I'll say that. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could make a case for it based on what's happened before with the testnets. And again, Richard doesn't care what everyone thinks. He cares about getting it correct. And that's what he's going to do. Great questions, everyone. Hope you're having an excellent weekend. I think, Sloth, what's up? You got to say hi to you before we leave. Free speech, V5555. Ooh. That's tempting. If we do have a testnet V5, think the best case scenario of timeline wise, if somehow we get V5, I'm pretty sure it it may be, there's a good chance it could be named V5555. I agree with you. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. I'm gonna head out. Hope you enjoyed us going over, me going over, I guess us, the chat. You're very interactive. We all talking about FUD and how RH is doing great. PulseChain's doing fine. Hex is great. Everything's good. In the bottom, possibly, of a bear market, we are doing great, aren't we? Appreciate you, Clifton. Great questions. And with that, we are out.